Okay, presentation this is Sarvannam.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, am I visible? Can you see presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So today's lecture is on chemistry of purines and pyrimidines, nucleosides and nucleotides. And then we will be seeing the biological significance of nucleosides and nucleotides. So these nucleotides and nucleosides and nucleotides, they are used in the DNA, RNA, and they also have other functions that we are going to see under the biological significance of nucleoside and nucleotide. And under the chemistry of purines and pyrimidines, we are going to see what is purines, what is pyrimidines, what is nucleosides, what is nucleotide, right? So nucleotide is a basic structural unit and building block of DNA. Okay, so whenever we say DNA, so it has a building blocks. DNA is made up of monomers. The basic monomer is a nucleotide. So that is a basic structural unit and building block of the DNA. Okay, nucleotide. These building blocks are hooked together to form a chain of DNA. Okay, so we have one nucleotide, then we have second nucleotide, third nucleotide. So they are hooked together and they form the chain like this. So that is a building blocks of the DNA. So that is why nucleotides are called as a building block. They help forming the chain of the DNA. So a nucleoside composed of two parts. Okay, so here nucleoside is made up of two parts. Hydrocarbon chain and nitrogenous bases. Okay, so we have two concepts. One is a nucleoside, other is a nucleotide. Whenever we say nucleotide, it composed of two parts: hydrocarbon ring, that is a hydrocarbon sugar, and nitrogenous base, nitrogen containing bases. Okay, so whenever we say nucleoside and nucleotide, the difference is after nucleo we have side, and in nucleotide we have tide. Okay, so side made up of nucleoside made up of hydrocarbon sugar and nitrogenous bases. So this one is a hydrocarbon sugar and this one is a nitrogenous bases. Likewise, nucleotide composed of three parts: hydrocarbon sugar, phosphate group, and nitrogen containing bases. Okay, we call it as a nitrogenous bases. So the difference between nucleoside and nucleotide is that phosphate group. So nucleotide is basically a nucleoside plus phosphate group. Okay, so that is a nucleoside. Next, so whole lecture we are concentrating on this diagram, right? So this diagram we are going to see what is sugar. Whenever we say sugar, sugar can be tetrose, pentose, hexose. So this sugar which is present in the DNA or nucleotide, is the pentose sugar. Okay, nucleic acid contain the pentose sugar. So the carbon we can measure like this: one. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 carbon sugar. So we call this sugar as a pentose sugar, and this sugar has a this OH group, OH group, OH group. So it can be uh, first carbon, second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon, 5 carbon. It has a OH group at different places. Okay, so this is a sugar. So we will see difference between ribose and deoxyribose sugar later on, but this one sugar is present, right? Next, we have this base. Okay, this base can be heterocyclic ring. And now it is a 6-atom ring. So this is a nitrogenous base. So when we combine this sugar with this base, we call it as a nucleoside. Okay, this sugar plus this base is known as a nucleoside. And if you are adding this phosphate group, so this one is a phosphate group. This phosphate attached to oxygen, 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 and double bond oxygen, and 2 oxygen has a negative charges. So if it is attached to the single phosphate, it is called nucleotide. If it is attached to the 2 phosphate, it is called diphosphate. If it is attaching with the 3 phosphate, we calling it as a triphosphate, right? And nomenclature we see like AMP, adenosine monophosphate, adenosine diphosphate, adenosine triphosphate. Likewise, nomenclature is there, right? So that is a nucleotide. Okay, so nucleotide is basically this, this 1, 2, and these three. These three together they make the nucleotide. Purines and pyrimidines. Nitrogenous bases found in the nucleotides are the heterocyclic compound. Okay, purines and pyrimidines, these are the nitrogenous bases. So firstly we are going to see what is nitrogenous bases, what is purines and pyrimidines. So these purines and pyrimidines are the nitrogenous bases and they have heterocyclic compound. So these are the heterocyclic compound. So these bases are two types, purines and pyrimidines. Purines and pyrimidines are numbered anti-clockwise. So currently we are showing, we are going to show purines and pyrimidines. In our diagram, it has label anti-clockwise. Sometimes if you flip the purines or pyrimidines, you can see it is a clockwise direction. So numbering system is you can see, you can judge from which side you are looking. If you are looking from this side, it looks like anti-clockwise. If you are looking from other side, it is a clockwise, right? So that is the purines and pyrimidines in later figure will be number anti-clockwise. DNA contains thymine, whereas RNA contains uracil. Okay, this thymine and uracil are the pyrimidine bases. In DNA, this thymine is present, and in RNA, this uracil is present. Okay, RNA contains uracil, DNA contains thymine. The atoms of purines and pyrimidines are numbered. The purine ring, okay, atoms in the purine ring. So this is a purine ring and it is numbered as a 1 to 9. Okay, so total atom, if you are numbering the atom in the purine ring, it should be 1 to 9. And if you are numbering pyrimidine ring, it should be 1 to 6. The carbon sugar are represented with associated prime for differentiation. Okay, so when we say purine ring, we are numbering from 1 to 9. We are going number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9. Okay, 2 heterocyclic compound, 6 atom and 5 atom ring we are giving number. So it is direct numbering. And in case of the sugar, it is a prime differentiation. Okay, so prime means we are giving this mark on the top of the number. So that is a prime. So we have seen the nitrogen containing bases are purines and pyrimidines. Under purines, there are 2 bases, adenine and guanine. Under pyrimidines, there are 3 bases, cytosine, thymine, and uracil. Okay, so these are the bases. Total 5 bases we have, major bases which are present in our nucleic acid. Okay, out of this one, adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine are present in the DNA. Adenine, guanine, cytosine, and uracil, it is present in the RNA. So this is a numbering system for pyrimidine. So how pyrimidines look like? So this one is a pyrimidine 6-member nitrogen containing ring. Okay, so this one is a 6-member ring. So we will measure its number. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this one is a heterocyclic ring and it contains this nitrogen atom, and whenever the atom is not shown, it is a carbon atom. Okay, this one is a carbon, this one is carbon, this one is carbon. So first atom is a nitrogen, second atom is a carbon, third atom is a nitrogen, fourth is carbon, fifth is carbon, sixth is carbon. And between first and second, there is a single bond. They are joined together by a single covalent bond. And this carbon and second carbon and third nitrogen atom, they are bonded together by a double bond. And this nitrogen number 3 and 4, they are bond together by single bond. This fourth number and fifth number carbon atom are bond together by a double bond. The carbon number 6 and nitrogen number 1, they have double bond in between them, right? So that is a heterocyclic pyrimidine ring structure. How pyrimidine ring structure appear, right? So whenever you see structure like this, rings like this, you should be able to measure, number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is has importance whenever we are going to see nucleoside and nucleotide. In that one, it has a importance, right? So this one is a basic structure of the pyrimidine. So pyrimidine structure we have seen. Next we have cytosine ring structure. So cytosine, if you see cytosine, this ring is the same. So basic backbone is the same, nitrogen atom is there. But what happened is that in cytosine at the second number position we have double bond O. Okay, oxygen, this carbon atom of the second is double bonded with O. So if it is double bonded with O, so we cannot give extra carbon, extra bond here. So that is why we get rid of this double bond here, and we have single bond or the road selection. Instead, this bond shift to this position, right? So double bond O is there in the cytosine, and at the second position, oxy group is there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At the sixth position, this amino group is there. ENH2 group is there, right? So this is a cytosine. Likewise, we have thymine. So 1, 2, at the 2 position there is a oxy group. At the 5 number position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is a one line is shown, that is this line is connected with this CS3 group, methyl group. So at the 5th position in the thymine there is a methyl group, and at the 6th position again there is a oxy group. Okay, so this is a thymine, and this is oxy group at second position, methyl group at the 5th position, and the oxy group again at the 6th position. This is a uracil. It has a 1, 2, at the second position oxy is there. At the 5th position nothing is there in compared to thymine, and at the 6th position there is a oxy group. Okay, so if you compare the thymine and the uracil structure, it is a similar structure. Only difference is that here 5th carbon position in the methyl contains carbon contain methyl group. So thymine ring at the 5th carbon is attached with the methyl group, and this uracil does not attach with the methyl group. So these are the differences between thymine and the uracil. So structurally, what is difference between cytosine, thymine, and uracil we have seen, right? So amino group, oxy group, oxy group, methyl group, oxy group. Likewise, differences you should be able to differentiate. Next is a purine ring structure. Purine is a 6-member. So this one is a 6-member ring and 5-member ring, nitrogen containing ring fused together. So nitrogenous bases are there, means nitrogen is there. So we will measure 6 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one is a 6 number, and again if you measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the 5 atoms and these are the 6 atoms. That is why it is a 6-member ring plus 5-member ring and 5-number ring. But they are not separate ring, they are fused together. Okay, and the numbering system again here is anti-clockwise. It means that this one is a nitrogen, first nitrogen, second is a carbon, the second carbon double bonded with the nitrogen atom, third number, fourth number carbon, fifth number carbon, fourth and fifth number carbon are double bonded with each other. Fifth and sixth number carbon joined together by single bond. Carbon number 6 and nitrogen number 1, they have double bond in between them. Then here we have this nitrogen atom. Okay, six atom completed at the 5 atom ring. We have fifth number carbon attached with the seventh number nitrogen atom. The seventh number atom is attached with the carbon atom by double bond. This carbon atom is attached with the nitrogen with a single bond. Okay, so this also has importance, right? So we are more concentrated with this N9 atom, right? This atom we are more concentrated because it has attachment side. Likewise, in purines, we are more interested in this 1 number carbon, and in purines, we are interested in the 9 number carbon as an attachment side. So again, under purines, there are two compounds, adenine and guanine. So this one is adenine. So if you see the structure, basic ring structure is same. Nitrogen 1, nitrogen 3, then nitrogen 7, nitrogen 9. But in this ring, there is an extra amino group present at the 6 number atom. So here this 6 number carbon atom is there in the purine ring. Here extra amino group is attached. Okay, so this one is the structure of adenine. In guanine, if you measure from this here, 1, 2. At the second number position, there is an amino group, and in this guanine, and after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At the sixth number position, there is an oxy group. So second number amino and sixth number oxy group is present in this one. So likewise, structural differences is there. And as we all know, because of this valence satisfaction, these bonds will shift. Okay, this double bond, double bond, double bond. So in between bonds will shift accordingly if you add the extra amino group or oxy group to that compound. So these two are the purine structures. So we have under purines we have adenine and we have guanine, right? So two purines we have. So some minor bases are also present in the nucleic acid. They are the infrequently they can be seen. That is a N6 methyl adenine. Okay, so here is a N6 in this 6th position amino group. There is a methyl group attached, N6 methyl group, N5 methyl cytosine. So at the 5 group to the cytosine methyl is attached. N2 methyl guanine. So this at the second position methyl group is attached. 5 hydroxy methyl cytosine. So at the 5th position hydroxy methyl group is present. Hypoxanthine, this compound like this is present. Pseudouracil can be present. 7 methyl guanine is present. 4 thiouracil can be present. Okay, so these are the minor bases. So we won't concentrate much on this one, but this can also be found infrequently in the nucleic acid. Next, so we have seen the nucleotide bases. Now we take our attention to the sugars of the nucleic acid. So 5-carbon monosaccharide pentoses are found in the nucleic acid structure. So likewise, sugar is present. So this one is a ribose sugar, deoxyribose sugar. So if you measure its carbon atom, it is a 5-carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one is a 5-carbon atom strip, and on each carbon actually this on the top of it like this dash structure should be written, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-carbon atom pentoses can be found in the nucleic acid. RNA contain ribose. So this ribose is contained in RNA, while DNA should contain deoxyribose. So there is a difference between DNA and RNA, and one of the important differences is a sugar present in them. In the RNA, there is a ribose sugar. In DNA, there is a deoxyribose sugar. Ribose and deoxyribose differ at the C2 position. So here we comes, this is one position, this is second position of the ribose. See, at the second position, there is a OH group, and in the deoxyribose, first position, second position, at the second position, there is a EH group. So what is difference? Ribose and deoxyribose. At the ribose, there is a OH group at the second carbon position, and in deoxyribose there is a hydrogen group. So this deoxyribose has a one oxygen less in this. That is why it is called as a deoxyribose sugar. Okay, so deoxyribose has a one oxygen less at the C2. Okay, so this deoxyribose has a one oxygen atom less at the C2 carbon position compared to this ribose. So prefix D is used to indicate if a sugar is a deoxyribose. So this one is a nucleotide DATP, means deoxyadenosine triphosphate. So whenever DNA is there, we represent nucleotide as a DATP. Otherwise, if ATP you are denoting, it means that it is a part of RNA. Means it can be used in RNA. Okay, so that is a RNA for a ribonucleotide, and D for deoxyribose. D indicates that sugar present in this nucleotide is a deoxyribose sugar. Pentose binding with the base. Okay, so we have seen bases. Under bases, purines and pyrimidines. Then we have seen pentose sugar, that is ribose sugar, deoxyribose sugar. Next, pentoses are bound to the nitrogenous bases. Now we have to bound these atoms together, these two molecules together, pentose and the nitrogen base, and they are bound together by beta-N glycosidic bond. So there is a beta-N glycosidic bond present between the pentose and nitrogenous bases. N9 of the purine ring bind with C1 of the pentose sugar to form covalent bond in the purine nucleotide. Okay, so we have seen purine ring. It contains 9 atoms, and this 9th atom of the purine ring binds with the first carbon of the pentose sugar. Okay, so first carbon of the pentose sugar it can bind and form to form a covalent bond in the purine nucleoside. So there it forms the purine nucleosides. In case of the pyrimidine nucleosides, this glycosidic linkage is between the N1 of pyrimidine and C1 of the purine. Okay, so now we have to form nucleoside. How we form nucleoside? We take our base and we take our pentose sugar. So this base has a purine has a 2 rings. Now 6 atom ring, 5 atom ring. At the 5 atom ring at the base there is a N9 atom of the, that is a nitrogen atom, which is at the 9th position. In the purine ring, it binds with the first carbon position of the pentose and it forms the purine nucleoside. Likewise, whenever pyrimidine is there, the first nitrogen atom of the pyrimidine form the bond with the first carbon of the pentose sugar, and this bond is a beta-N glycosidic bond. Okay, so why it is called as a glycosidic bond, beta-N? Because glycosidic, because it is bonded with sugar. Okay, because it is bonded with the nitrogen atom. So that is why it is called as a beta-N glycosidic bond. The bases are the part of the DNA that store the information and give DNA ability to encode the phenotype and visible trait. Okay, so all the visible traits in the animal, like skin color, eyes, whether eyes are your eyes, whether it is brown or black in color, it all determined by the genetic information, right? Which genes are expressing related to those eyes color. It is coded in our DNA, and based on this DNA, we show the phenotype. So the phenotypic information is basically a manifestation of the genetic information which is present in the animal or the humans. Okay, so all living organisms they contain this DNA as a genetic information. So this can be manifested in the phenotypic traits. So how phenotypic traits is present, right? So additional information with this one. So now we have seen pentose binding with the bases. Next is a hydrogen bonding. Okay. Next, chemical bond between the bases are across one another, hold the two atom strands double helix together. Okay, so we have one double whenever we have double stranded DNA, we have one strand and a second strand, and these two are held together to each other, and the bond between these two atoms is the chemical bond, which is known as a hydrogen bonding. Okay, so there is a hydrogen bonding. So this one is a adenine and this one is a thymine. So this adenine always binds with this thymine, right? So there is a bond. So there is a double bond between this one. Two hydrogen bonds are present between the adenine and thymine. Likewise, cytosine and guanine, they always bind together So this cytosine and this guanine, they bind together, and there is a triple bond, triple hydrogen bond present between the cytosine and the guanine. This relationship is called as a complementary base pairing. So this one base pairing pairing with another, that is called as a complementary base pairing. These complementary bases are bonded together by the hydrogen bonds. Okay, so there's a hydrogen bond between this complementary base pair, which can be easily broken apart when DNA needs to unzip and duplicates itself. Okay, so even with even if you are hitting the DNA, these two strands can separate. Like in polymerase chain reaction, these two strands of DNA, they will denature. It means that they will separate from each other, right? Because of heat. So that is a weak interaction. This between one strand and another strand, there is hydrogen bond, but that is a comparatively weak interaction. They can be easily broken apart. Okay, so that was about hydrogen bonding. So how hydrogen bonds form? So we were telling that this cytosine and guanosine, they are bound together by the 3 hydrogen bonds. So what are the hydrogen bonds? So if you see the structure of the purine, this one is a purine, cytosine is a purine, thymine is a purine, and this guanine is a adenine. This cytosine is a pyrimidine, thymine is the pyrimidine, and this adenine and guanine are the purines. Okay, so we have these pyrimidines linked with this purine molecule. So we will see again. Already we have seen structure of this purine molecule: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 atom ring. At the second position of cytosine, there is a double bond O. At the third position, there is a nitrogen. At the fourth position, there is a carbon which is attached with the amino group. And if you see guanine structure, this 6 atom ring, we have atom number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Atom number 1 is a nitrogen. At the second carbon atom, there is an amino group, nitrogen atom, and at the 6th position, there is an oxy position. So we have additional group present on the purines and pyrimidines, like oxy group or the amino group. What is significance of this amino group or oxy group? The significance is that this oxy group, it can form the hydrogen bond with this amino group. Okay, so one oxy group of this pyrimidine, cytosine, it can form the hydrogen bond with this purine amino group. Okay, so likewise this nitrogen form this bond with the NH group, NH form bond with this oxy group. So this is a double bond, this is actually a hydrogen bond interaction. So this one is shown by dotted line, and this is a hydrogen bond interaction between two nucleotide molecules, the two bases molecule. Likewise, we have thymine, and in thymine, this NH and EN group form hydrogen bond, and this oxy and amino group form hydrogen bond. So that is the importance. So why this additional groups present? What it can be helpful for? It is helpful for this hydrogen atoms also, right? Hydrogen bonding also. So this 3 bond, 1, 2, 3 in the between cytosine and guanine, and in thymine and adenine there is a 1, 2 hydrogen bond is present. Okay, so that is a bond between the nucleotide bases. And we have seen this is our pentose sugar, which is bound with this cytosine molecule, and this is bound with the first nitrogen atom. So this one is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 atom pentose ring. It is the first atom of this pentose is attached with the nitrogen number 1 of this pyrimidine ring. So this one is the pyrimidine ring, cytosine. This is a N1, and this one is a 1 prime. Okay, so sugar always we show with the prime on the top of it, or dash line we show. So that is a prime. So this one is a this together bond. So this together we can call it as a nucleoside. Okay, so this one is a nucleoside. Likewise, this one is a nucleoside. This one is a nucleoside. This one is a nucleoside. And if it is attached with the phosphate group, we call it as a nucleotide. So this again, this fifth number carbon of the pentose sugar attached with the phosphate group, and it form the nucleotide. This is a CMP, cytosine monophosphate structure. So likewise, and again, once we have this structure, again it can bound, and this structure, these together can be bound to each other. Okay, so at the fifth carbon of the second sugar, there is a phosphate group which will attach with the third carbon position of this next nucleotide, and it will form bond. So this one is a phosphodiester bond, and this one is a hydrogen bond. So we have hydrogen bond, which is a weaker bond, and comparatively we have quite a strong bond. It is a phosphodiester bond. Okay, we will come again to the phosphodiester bond. So esterification of nucleotides by phosphate, hydroxyl group of adenosines are esterified with the phosphate to produce the 5' or 3' monophosphate. Okay, so adenosine means we have adenine group and we have pentose sugar. And now if we are attaching this phosphate group to the 5th carbon position of the sugar, it is a 5' monophosphate. If you are adding phosphate to the 3' position of the sugar, then it is a 3' monophosphate. The 5' hydroxyl is the most commonly esterified, hence 5' is usually omitted while writing the name of nucleotide. Okay, so most of nucleotides, they are hydroxylated at the 5' position. So 5' hydroxyl group, AMP represent adenosine 5' monophosphate. So whenever we are writing adenosine 5' monophosphate, sometimes people write it as a AMP, adenosine monophosphate. But if you have adenosine 3' monophosphate, they specifically mention that it is a 5' hydroxyl group which is esterified. Okay, at the 3' position there is a phosphate group. That is why they mention 3' AMP. But in case of direct AMP, we are not mentioning anything. It is implicit that it is a adenosine 5' monophosphate. Addition of second and third phosphate to the nucleoside result in nucleoside diphosphate and and triphosphate. Okay, so if one group is there, it is a nucleoside monophosphate, nucleoside diphosphate, nucleoside triphosphate. Okay, based on how much phosphate group is attached. Now phosphodiester. So already we have discussed this one. This one is the one nucleoside. This one is the other nucleoside, and these together are bound together by this phosphate group. Okay, the sugar and phosphate group make up the backbone of the DNA double helix, while the bases are located in the middle. Okay, so if you see the backbone, so if you consider this as a backbone, so this is a backbone. So you can see here sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate. Okay, so these are the backbone, and this at the middle side there are the bases. Okay, the chemical bond between the phosphate of one nucleotide and sugar of neighboring holds the backbone together. Okay, so this one nucleotide sugar is there, and so this one is the one sugar nucleotide is there, and this one is the other sugar nucleotide is there. So these together are held together by this phosphate group. Okay, chemical bond between the phosphate group of one nucleotide and the sugar of neighboring nucleotide holds together bond. This is a phosphodiester. So this is a phosphodiester bond. So this bond, so this bond is a phosphodiester bond. Here it is holding this molecule together. So this is a phosphodiester bond. Okay, one nucleoside, the nucleoside, and there is a this phosphate group attached in between them. So phosphodiester bond is there. So how this, whenever we say the deoxyribonucleic acid, we have sugar phosphate backbone. So this one is the sugar, the blue color, and this one is the phosphate. The sugar and phosphate is there. So sugar, phosphate. So this one you can see this is a backbone. Okay, sugar and phosphate make the backbone of the DNA. So others kind again sugar and phosphate, it makes the backbone. And if you have this this bases present in between, so these bases are present in the middle position, right? Adenine double bonded with the thymine. So here we can see one bond, two bond, and the guanine double bonded, triple bonded with the cytosine. So 1, 2, 3 bonds. Okay. So base pairing. So whenever base pairing is there, adenine bonds with the thymine with the double bond, and guanine binds with the cytosine with the triple bond. Okay, so 3 bond interaction. So likewise is the structure of the deoxyribonucleic acid. So how DNA is being presented. So here with the green color we have seen adenine, thymine with the red color, so they are bonding to each other. So this is a complementary base pair interaction. So we have discussed complementary. So this is complementary base pair interaction. Two bases always pair with each other. Adenine should always pair with thymine molecule. Guanine should always pair with cytosine. So that is a base pair interaction in the DNA. So till now we have discussed this hydrogen bond we have discussed, and this phosphodiester bond we have discussed, and this complementary base pairing, basic structure of nucleotides. What is nucleotide? So this is basically a structure of DNA. We want to come to this point, so we have discussed all these points: sugar, phosphate, nitrogenous bases, nucleoside, nucleotide, right? So this is a table, nucleotide bases. So what are the nucleotide bases are present? So nucleotide bases we have seen adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, uracil. So whenever we say nucleotide, we represent adenine as a, guanine as a G, cytosine as a C, thymine as a T, uracil as a U. Adenine structure we have seen. Adenine structure contains the 6 amino purine. That is 6 amino group is present in the purine ring. Guanine contains 2 amino 6 oxypurine. So this you can represent guanine purine ring with the amino position at the 6th number position and oxy position at the amino group at the 2nd position and oxy group at the 6th position. Cytosine oxy group at the 2nd position and the amino group at the 4th position in the pyrimidine. So 2 oxy 4 amino pyrimidine. In the thymine, there is a 2,4-dioxy thiomethylpyrimidine. So there is a oxy group at the 2nd and 4th carbon position, and at the 5th position there is a methyl group. Likewise, in uracil, there is a 2,4-dioxy pyrimidine. At the 2nd and the 4th position, there is a oxy group. So likewise, there is a nucleoside. So this is a adenine is a base. If you want to see say nucleoside, it is adenosine. Guanine, guanosine. Cytosine, cytidine. Thymine, thymidine. Uracil, uridine. Ribonucleotides. So that was nucleoside, adenosine. Now we want to see ribonucleotide. Ribonucleotide, we know it has a phosphate, extra phosphate. So it can be represented AMP, adenosine monophosphate, ADP, adenosine diphosphate, ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Likewise, guanine can be represented as a guanosine monophosphate, guanosine diphosphate, guanosine triphosphate, GMP, GDP, GTP. Cytidine can be represented as a CMP, CDP, CTP. That is cytidine monophosphate, cytidine diphosphate, cytidine triphosphate. Thymidine can be represented as a TMP, TDP, TTP. Thymidine monophosphate, thymidine diphosphate, thymidine triphosphate. Uridine ribonucleotides can be represented as UMP, UDP, UTP. Uridine monophosphate, uridine diphosphate, uridine triphosphate. And if you have deoxynucleotides, instead of AMP, we present as a DAMP. So we know that it contains deoxy sugar in this nucleotide, and this is a deoxy nucleotide, right? Adenosine monophosphate, deoxyadenosine monophosphate, likewise. DMP, DADP, DATP, likewise. So we can represent deoxynucleotide like ribonucleotide. Just difference is that we have to represent D in front of them, right? So adenosine monophosphate, these are the example like adenosine monophosphate, deoxyguanosine triphosphate, cytidine triphosphate, deoxythymidine triphosphate, uridine triphosphate. So each we have discussed in this level. So how they are being represented, right? Next comes the biological significance of nucleoside and nucleotide. So nucleoside and nucleotide, what is biological significance? So already we have discussed it is used in the DNA, it is used in the RNA, that is a part of nucleic acid. Likewise, this ATP is used as an energy source. Adenosine triphosphate. Everybody knows that ATP is a source of energy in our body. Okay. So very important function this ribonucleotides perform is the source of energy. GTP is used in the protein synthesis. This UTP, uridine triphosphate, is a source of energy for activating the glucose and galactose. So if you want to activate the glucose and galactose, you need this UTP molecule. CTP molecule is the energy source in lipid metabolism. So whenever we study lipid metabolism, this CTP molecule will come. We will know its function is there as a energy source. AMP is a part of structure of some coenzyme NAD, FAD, and coenzyme A. So for performing some enzyme dehydrogenases like enzyme function, we need this NAD, FAD, coenzyme A molecules like molecule, right? That these are the coenzyme molecule, and the adenosine monophosphate is a part of its structure. So part of coenzyme, right? Nucleotides are a part of nucleic acid. Again, we are familiar with this role. Nucleotide are a part of nucleic acid. Nucleotides can be synthesized by de novo and salvage pathway. Okay, so sometimes it can be synthesized by de novo or salvage pathway. Means it can be synthesized directly by reaction or salvage pathway with the help of a available nucleotide. We can form the new nucleotide, right? So these are the de novo and the salvage pathway are there for the nucleotide synthesis. Next, biological significance of nucleoside and nucleotide include the as a metabolic regulator. Okay, CAMP. So this nucleotide, cyclic AMP molecule, is a mediator of hormones action. Okay, so many hormones they attach with the cell surface receptor, and then this CAMP molecule is activated, and this activates other downstream protein. So there is a cascading action which regulate the hormone action. So that is a hormonal action. The CAMP molecule role is there. ATP dependent protein phosphorylation. This ATP dependent protein phosphorylation has a need of ATP. It activates the phosphorylase. This phosphorylase activates the phosphorylase and inactivate the glycogen synthase. So there is a allosteric regulation like role also is there. Means it can sometimes activate some molecule. For example, this phosphorylation activates the phosphorylase, and this phosphorylation inactivate the glycogen synthase. So both one step which is breaking down the glucose, and another step is synthesizing glucose. We don't want butyl reaction in our cell. To avoid that butyl reaction, we can take the help of this nucleotide molecule to activate or inactivate this glycogen synthesis, right? Likewise, we have adenylation of the tyrosine residue, tyrosine of bacterial glutamine synthetase, more sensitive to feedback inhibition and less active. So this adenylation of tyrosine of bacterial glutamine synthesis is another role. Next is allosteric regulation, like glycogen phosphorylase activated by ATP and inactivated by the AMP. So same role where we mention it. So allosteric regulation role, right? So we can control the which reaction should be activated and which reaction should be inactivated, like glycogen phosphorylase, whether glycogen should be synthesized at the same time should it be broken down. If you are synthesizing the glycogen and at the same time if you are degrading it also, it is a futile reaction. We are going in the both direction, in the forward as backward. So it nullifies the both action. In order to control that one, we have this allosteric regulation in which it can be activated. This ATP can activate the glycogen phosphorylase and can be inactivated by the AMP. Okay. However, other act as a precursor of DNA and RNA, deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid. Already we seen this role. Activated intermediates in many biosynthesis. So many biosynthesis reaction this require this UDP glucose for glycogen biosynthesis is required. CDP acyl glycerol is intermediate in the lipid biosynthesis. Yes, adenosyl methionine is a methyl donor. So this adenosine methionine act as a methyl donor. GDP and GTP are involved in a cascade of events. Signal transduction pathway. Okay, so this GDP and GDP are involved in the signal transduction pathway. Okay, so one enzyme is activating other enzyme, other is activating some other enzyme. So there is a cascade. Okay, like a waterfall. There is a cascading reaction. For this biochemical reaction, this GTP and GDP molecule is required. Synthetic analogs of nucleotides are employed in the treatment of cancer, AIDS, and suppression of immune response during the organ transplant. So this nucleotide and nucleosides are so much important that we can use in the treatment of the cancer. Okay, so most of time cancer cell they require a lot of nucleotides. If you supply them the faulty nucleotides, we can stop the growth of the cancer, because all cell requires the nucleotides, nucleoside nucleotides for their growth, right? If you supply them with the improper nucleotide, that is synthetic analogs of nucleotides, we can stop its growth. Cancer, AIDS, sometimes we can suppress immune response. So sometimes somebody has kidney failure, he needs kidney, and we once that person gets kidney, its kidney gets rejected because of immunological reaction. If you want to stop that immunological reaction, we can give him a synthetic analogs of nucleotide. So okay, so these are the references. Thank you.